Tonight, we journey into one of the most closely held secrets of esoteric tradition, the sacred mudra that has the power to transform your energetic body from within. This is not merely another spiritual practice, but a key that unlocks what the Hermetic Masters called the microcosm within the macrocosm, the complete universe reflected in the sacred geometry of your own hands. For centuries, this knowledge has been whispered only within the inner circles of mystery schools, passed down through bloodlines of adepts and encoded in symbols that the uninitiated could never decipher. The masters of antiquity understood something profound, that human hands are not merely instruments of the physical world, but antennae capable of channeling, directing, and amplifying the very life force that animates all existence. Why was this knowledge hidden? Because in the wrong hands, quite literally, such power could disrupt the natural order. But more importantly, because the mind unprepared for such revelations cannot properly contain or direct these forces without causing harm to oneself and others. But you are here now, seeking what lies beyond the veil, and perhaps you are ready to discover how a simple positioning of fingers can open channels within your being that have remained dormant since birth. Tonight, we unveil the mudra that ancient texts describe as the seal of the eternal flame, a practice that can literally charge your energetic body with forces drawn from the cosmic wellspring itself. Are you prepared to remember what your soul has always known? To understand the true power of what we're about to explore, we must first journey back through the corridors of time to when this sacred knowledge first emerged from the primordial wisdom traditions of our ancestors. The earliest records of sacred hand positions stretch back over 5,000 years to the Indus Valley civilization, where archaeologists have discovered figurines depicting beings in precise hand configurations that match exactly what we find carved into the walls of Egyptian temples millennia later. This is no coincidence. It points to a unified science of energy that transcended geographical boundaries and survived the rise and fall of empires. The Egyptian Hermetic tradition preserved these teachings within the inner sanctums of their mystery schools. The priests of Thoth understood that the human hand contains what they called the 5 points of stellar connection, each finger serving as a conductor for specific cosmic forces. In the Temple of Karnak, initiates would spend years mastering just one mudra, understanding that premature advancement could scatter their consciousness across dimensions they weren't prepared to navigate. The hieroglyphic texts speak of the Seal of Horus, a hand position so sacred that it was only transmitted through direct touch from master to student, ensuring the energetic frequency was properly calibrated. Ancient papyri describe how the high priests would enter the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid and, using this specific mudra, would channel energy that could heal from a distance or peer into the threads of future possibility. The Hebraic Kabbalistic tradition encoded these same principles within the mystical understanding of the hands as vessels of divine emanation. The Zohar speaks of the hands as the branches of the tree of life made manifest in flesh, where each finger corresponds to a specific sephira on the sacred diagram. The ancient rabbis taught that when Moses raised his hands during the battle with Amalek, he wasn't merely praying. He was configuring his energy body to channel divine force directly onto the battlefield. The Talmudic masters knew of mudras so powerful they were forbidden to be performed outside of the Holy of Holies. They understood that the Hebrew letter Yod, the smallest letter that represents the divine spark, was actually a symbolic representation of the index finger positioned in the precise mudra we'll explore tonight. Within Christian Gnosticism, the early mystics preserved these teachings under layers of symbolic interpretation. The positioning of Christ's hands in ancient iconography wasn't arbitrary. Each gesture encoded specific energetic keys. The Nag Hammadi texts speak of the sign of the hidden hand that Jesus taught only to his closest disciples, a mudra that could awaken the sleeping serpent of divine fire within the spine of man. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in the 19th century recovered many of these lost techniques through their study of ancient manuscripts. Members like MacGregor Mathers and Aleister Crowley documented mudras that they claimed could open what they termed astral gateways, portals of consciousness that allowed direct communion with angelic hierarchies. Their rituals always began with specific hand positions designed to seal the aura and protect the practitioner during transcendental work. Islamic Sufism preserved parallel teachings within their tradition of latif points, energy centers that could be activated through precise hand configurations during dhikr, remembrance of God. The great Sufi master Ibn Arabi wrote extensively about mudras that could induce states of fana, the temporary dissolution of ego that allows direct experience of divine unity. But perhaps most remarkably, Native American medicine traditions developed virtually identical practices independently. The Lakota speak of the sacred placement of the eagle's talons, hand positions used during vision quests that could summon animal spirits and open communication with the ancestors. Cherokee elders teach mudras for calling down the lightning, channeling storm energy for healing and purification ceremonies. What we see across all these traditions is not coincidence, but evidence of a universal truth, that human hands, when positioned with knowledge and intention, become instruments capable of interfacing with the fundamental forces that govern reality itself. The question that burns within the seeker's heart is this: if such knowledge existed, why was it hidden? And why, after millennia of secrecy, are we being called to remember it now? To comprehend the true mechanism behind this ancient mudra, we must understand the energetic architecture of the human hand, what the Hermetic philosophers called the pentagram made flesh. Look at your hand now. See how the thumb and four fingers create a five-pointed star when spread wide? This is no accident of evolution, but a deliberate encoding by cosmic intelligence of the sacred pentagon, the geometric form that contains the golden ratio, phi, the mathematical signature of divine proportion found throughout nature. Each finger serves as an antenna for specific frequencies of cosmic energy. The ancient texts are explicit about this. The thumb connects to what the Hindus call Agni, the fire element that governs transformation and will. The index finger channels Vayu, the air element that carries thoughts and communication between dimensions. The middle finger, longest of all, serves as the primary conduit for Akasha, the fifth element, the primordial space from which all manifestation emerges. The ring finger resonates with Prithvi, the earth element that grounds and stabilizes energy within the physical form. And the little finger attunes to Jal, the water element that governs flow, emotion, and the subtle currents that connect all living beings. But here's where the ancient science becomes truly profound. When fingers are positioned in specific geometric relationships, they create what the alchemists called interference patterns in the bioelectric field surrounding the body. Just as two intersecting circles create areas of enhanced and diminished energy at their overlap points, fingers positioned in sacred mudras create zones of concentrated life force that can be directed with surgical precision. The secret mudra we'll reveal tonight is based on what the Egyptians termed the vesica piscis of the palm, a configuration where the fingers form interlocking circles that generate a concentrated vortex of energy at specific points in the hand. This vortex then communicates directly with what the Chinese call the extraordinary meridians, energy channels that don't follow the normal acupuncture pathways, but instead connect directly to what Taoists describe as the prenatal essence, the original life force you were born with. The positioning creates what modern bioenergy researchers term scalar wave generation. These are waves that exist outside normal electromagnetic spectrum. They carry information rather than energy, and they can influence matter at the quantum level. Ancient initiates intuitively understood that consciousness itself operates through scalar waves, and that mudras are essentially consciousness antennas that can broadcast and receive information across vast distances of space and time. The sacred geometry becomes even more remarkable when we examine the angular relationships. In the secret mudra, the thumb and index finger form a precise 51.8-degree angle, the exact same angle found in the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is the angle that most efficiently focuses pyramid energy, and when replicated in the hand, It creates what Hermetic texts describe as a pyramid of flesh that channels celestial fire. The remaining fingers are positioned according to what the Vedic seers called the Fibonacci spiral of manifestation, each finger curled to create segments that follow the golden ratio progression. This transforms the hand into a living mandala, a three-dimensional sacred geometry that resonates with the fundamental organizing principles of the universe itself. But perhaps most profound is the energetic circuit this creates within the body. When the mudra is properly formed, it establishes what the Taoists call the microcosmic orbit, a continuous flow of energy that begins at the base of the spine, rises through the central channel to the crown of the head, then descends down the front of the body back to its starting point. This circulation is what the ancient texts describe as the awakening of the eternal flame within the mortal vessel. The mudra doesn't just direct energy, it amplifies it. By creating a geometric resonance chamber within the hands, it multiplies the practitioner's natural bioelectric field by what some traditions claim can be factors of 7 or more. This amplified field then entrains the entire energy body, gradually raising the base frequency of every cell, every organ, every system within the physical form. And this leads us to a profound realization. You are not learning a mere technique tonight. You are remembering the sacred technology encoded within your very flesh, the divine gift that transforms mortal hands into instruments of cosmic will. Throughout history, those who mastered this sacred mudra have left behind accounts that read like passages from the most fantastical tales. Yet these were not flights of imagination, but documented experiences of individuals who learned to work with forces that transcend ordinary understanding. Paramahansa Yogananda, the great Indian master who brought yoga to the West, wrote in his private journals about a mudra taught to him by his guru, Sri Yukteswar. He described how this hand position could generate what he called an internal aurora, streams of light that would cascade through his nervous system during deep meditation. Yogananda noted that after practicing this mudra for extended periods, his students would report spontaneous experiences of healing, precognition, and what he termed cosmic consciousness, a direct knowing of their connection to all existence. The 13th century German mystic Meister Eckhart left cryptic references to what he called the seal of union, a hand position that he claimed could induce immediate mystical experiences. His writings describe how, when the fingers are arranged according to divine geometry, the soul finds itself suddenly transported beyond the limitations of time and space. Students who learned this technique from Eckhart reported experiences of bilocation, appearing simultaneously in multiple locations, and the ability to heal through touch alone. In more recent times, the renowned healer Edgar Cayce frequently mentioned in his readings a specific mudra that he claimed could open the chakras like flowers turning toward the sun. People who worked with Cayce reported that when he demonstrated this hand position, sensitive individuals in the room would feel waves of energy washing over them. Some experienced spontaneous emotional releases as blocked energies began to flow freely through their systems. Dr. Marcel Vogel, the IBM scientist who became a pioneer in crystal healing research, documented his experiments with sacred mudras in the 1970s. Using Kirlian photography, he was able to capture images showing dramatic changes in the energy field around subjects' hands when they shifted from random finger positions to specific mudra configurations. In one particularly striking photograph, the energy field extends nearly 18 inches from the fingers, far beyond the normal 1 to 2 inch aura typically visible around human hands. Contemporary practitioners continue to report remarkable experiences. A meditation teacher in Tibet describes students who, after learning this mudra, began experiencing what she calls energy downloads, sudden influxes of information and insight that seemed to come from sources beyond their personal knowledge. A Reiki master in California documents cases where clients would enter spontaneous trance states simply from seeing the mudra performed, as if their energy bodies were automatically responding to the geometric configuration. Perhaps most intriguingly, several practitioners report experiences of time displacement during extended mudra sessions. They describe entering meditative states that seem to last for hours, only to discover that merely minutes have passed in ordinary time. Others report the opposite phenomenon, brief meditative sessions that correlate with hours of elapsed clock time, as if consciousness were moving through different temporal streams. What's particularly noteworthy is the consistency of reports across different cultures and time periods. Whether we examine accounts from Tibetan monasteries, Native American medicine circles, or contemporary healing centers, we find remarkably similar descriptions. Sensations of energy flowing through the hands and arms, experiences of expanded awareness, spontaneous emotional releases, enhanced intuitive abilities, and profound feelings of connection to something far greater than individual consciousness. These are not the fantasies of the deluded, but the documented experiences of individuals who learn to work with energetic principles that our materialistic culture has largely forgotten. Their testimonies serve as signposts, pointing toward possibilities that await those courageous enough to explore the frontiers of human potential. And now, the moment has arrived for you to discover whether these accounts speak truth, or whether they are merely the wishful thinking of dreamers lost in mystical delusion. After millennia of concealment, the seal is about to be broken. What I'm about to share with you is the exact hand configuration that the ancient masters called Prana Mudra Maha, the great gesture of life force. This is not merely another meditation technique, but what the Sanskrit texts describe as the key that unlocks the sleeping serpent of divine fire within the human vessel. The sacred configuration. Begin by bringing your hands together at heart level, as if in prayer. But this is where the ordinary ends and the extraordinary begins. First, form the foundation triangle. Touch the tips of your thumbs together, then bring the tips of your index fingers to meet the thumbs, creating a triangle with a small opening at its center. This triangle serves as what the Hermetic traditions call the portal of manifestation, a geometric gateway through which intention becomes reality. Next, the amplification spiral. Curl your middle fingers inward so their tips rest gently against the base of your ring fingers. This creates what the ancient texts describe as the coiled serpent position, mimicking the sacred spiral found in nautilus shells, galaxies, and the DNA double helix itself. Finally, the grounding seal. Allow your ring fingers and little fingers to interweave, with your ring fingers crossing over and your little fingers tucking underneath. This weaving creates what Taoist masters call the net of heaven and earth, an energetic mesh that prevents dissipation of the forces you're about to generate. The activation sequence. Hold this mudra at your heart center and breathe deeply 3 times. On the third exhale, slowly raise the mudra to the level of your third eye, the space between your eyebrows. You may immediately feel a tingling sensation or warmth beginning to build within the triangle formed by your thumbs and index fingers. This is the moment of ignition. The geometric configuration you've created is now serving as a resonance chamber, amplifying your natural bioelectric field and creating what the ancient masters called the flame that burns without consuming. Hold the mudra at third eye level for exactly 108 seconds. The sacred number that represents the cosmic cycles and appears throughout mystical mathematics. During this time, visualize golden light flowing through the triangle opening directly into your pineal gland, the physical correlate of your third eye. After 108 seconds, slowly lower the mudra back to heart level. But don't break the configuration yet. This is when the real magic begins. The energy you've concentrated at your third eye now cascades down through your entire energy system, charging every chakra, every meridian, every cell with amplified life force. The masters taught that proper practice of this mudra creates 7 distinct effects. Immediate energetic charging. Your entire biofield becomes amplified within minutes. Enhanced intuitive perception. Information begins flowing from sources beyond ordinary consciousness. Accelerated healing. Your body's natural repair mechanisms operate at enhanced efficiency. Emotional equilibrium. Blocked energies release naturally, creating profound inner peace. Expanded awareness. Your consciousness begins to perceive subtler dimensions of reality. Psychic sensitivity. You become naturally attuned to energies and information from other beings. Spiritual awakening, direct experience of your connection to the cosmic web of existence. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. The ancient masters were explicit. This mudra should never be practiced with negative intention, never used to manipulate others, and never performed during states of emotional imbalance. The forces it awakens are too powerful to be wielded carelessly. The key has been placed in your hands. The door stands before you. The question that remains is simple. Will you turn the key and step through into the expanded reality that awaits? The ancient masters understood that learning a sacred mudra is like planting a seed. The real transformation happens through consistent nurturing over time. They recommended beginning with just 5 minutes of daily practice, allowing your energy body to gradually adapt to the increased frequencies you're now able to access. Start each morning with this mudra as the sun rises. The initiates knew that dawn energy carries special potency. It's when the veil between dimensions is thinnest and when your energy body is most receptive to recalibration. As you practice, pay attention to the subtle sensations that arise. That tingling in your palms, that's your dormant energy channels beginning to awaken. The warmth spreading up your arms, that's life force flowing through pathways that may have been closed for decades. But here's what the texts rarely mention explicitly. The mudra will begin to work on you even when you're not consciously practicing it. Your hands will naturally want to form similar configurations during meditation, prayer, or moments of deep contemplation. This is your energy body remembering its true nature, seeking to maintain the elevated frequencies you've introduced. Watch for the signs of integration, enhanced dream recall, increased synchronicities in daily life, spontaneous moments of profound peace, and perhaps most remarkably, the gradual dissolution of the artificial barriers between your inner and outer worlds. You may find yourself naturally knowing things you've never learned, sensing things you cannot see, feeling connected to people and places across vast distances. The masters also taught that this practice creates what they called energetic contagion. As your own field becomes more coherent and powerful, it begins to positively influence everyone around you. Family members may report sleeping better. Coworkers might notice they feel more creative and inspired in your presence. Even plants and animals respond to the heightened life force you're now carrying. But perhaps most importantly, remember that you are now part of an ancient lineage. Every time you form this mudra, you're connecting not just to cosmic forces, but to the unbroken chain of seekers who have used this same technique throughout history. You're adding your energy to theirs, and they're adding their accumulated wisdom to yours. The secret has been revealed. The power has been awakened. Now the real journey begins. Tonight, you've received more than just a technique. You've been entrusted with a key that can unlock dimensions of human potential that most people never dream exist. The sacred mudra you now carry represents thousands of years of accumulated wisdom, refined through countless generations of adepts who dedicated their lives to understanding the deepest mysteries of existence. But this is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning. What you've learned tonight is just the first movement in a vast symphony of ancient knowledge. The masters who preserved these teachings understood that true initiation happens in stages, each revelation preparing consciousness for the next level of understanding. As you begin to work with this practice, remember that you are not alone on this path. You are part of an invisible community of seekers stretching across time and space, individuals who have chosen to awaken to their true potential rather than sleep through life in unconscious routine. The energy you've awakened tonight will continue to work within you, opening new channels of perception, dissolving old limitations, and gradually revealing capacities you never knew you possessed. Trust the process. Allow the transformation to unfold naturally. And remember that the greatest discoveries often come not through force, but through patient, consistent practice. The ancient masters left us with a final teaching. The real magic is not in the technique itself, but in becoming the kind of person worthy of wielding such power. As your energy expands, so too must your compassion, your wisdom, and your commitment to using these gifts in service of the highest good. The portal has been opened. The flame has been lit. Now go forth and remember who you truly are. Not merely a physical being having occasional spiritual experiences, but an eternal consciousness temporarily wearing the costume of flesh, capable of miracles that defy the limitations of ordinary reality. The secret mudra is now yours. Use it wisely. The ancients are watching, and they are smiling. Subscribe to continue this journey into the hidden mysteries that can transform your life forever. The deepest secrets are yet to be revealed.